in, guys, to another episode of the TBT podcast. Tyler, Jason Dunn, good to have you back on the podcast. Will Shields, welcome into the podcast. Welcome back in, folks. We are back. Not only are we back, we're back for some playoffs. We're back for some big-time playoffs. We already have the wild card. It's over. It's done with. So now we have the NFC side of things, or the AFC side of things for the divisional round and for the NFC side, and we're going to break it down all on today's episode. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't for my co-host, Zach. Zach, what's happening? It's good to be back on the TBT podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's been a minute. I took a little 2-week trip, so I missed the Broncos episodes. And, but it's good to be back. Talk some Chiefs football, the best time of the year, as long as you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fitting because, again, we got all the important games out of the way. And I thought the backups would be a little bit better, but they weren't. Everyone wants to give Carson Wentz some flack, and I just want to begin this episode saying, you guys are saying how he may be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Guys, he was throwing to guys that have never played NFL snaps. So
yeah,
we got to remember that. So
he looked about as good as Sam Darnold, and he was throwing to Justin Jefferson.
In these last two games, yeah, he really did. So again, if he returns next year and something happens where he has to play, don't worry, guys. He's not as bad as what people are making it sound after this Broncos game. They also play their third string quarterback, which the Chiefs usually don't do. But enough about that crap. But we did see that opposing team we played in that game go out and look like the third string Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. The Buffalo Bills versus the Denver Broncos. What is your takeaway from that game? Does it make you worry if Buffalo has to play the Chiefs in this playoffs, or was it the Broncos just really weren't that good of a team?
Well, the Broncos, they had a really good defense, but when you go up against a quarterback like Josh Allen, if you go up against a Mahomes or Lamar Jackson, it really seems like how good your defense is doesn't matter. It's do you make the plays when it matters, and can you get turnovers? And if you can't, they're going to score a lot of points. It doesn't matter. I mean, we've seen Mahomes. What is he, 9-1 against number one defenses? They neutralize other teams' strengths. And so I'm really not that surprised that the game went like that. I mean, Buffalo is accustomed to just blowing out inferior teams. And so it's not surprising when they do it every wild card weekend. It doesn't really ever seem to change much for the divisional round or conference championship game, though. So,
yeah, again, Josh Allen, he hasn't lost a wild card game. So we can clearly see that he is great versus, like you said, inferior teams because he's usually a top 3 seed. So he's playing a lower seeded team. And he usually is able to get it done. The Bills did not impress me through like 3-ish quarters. The third quarter, they kind of ramped it up. But I forget what the score was at halftime. Maybe it was 13-7, maybe even 10-7, if I'm not recalling. But again, they didn't press me at first. Obviously, Josh Allen was able to scramble and have that huge touchdown to one of the running backs. But they're just at times I feel like they're really just like they're like mucky water. It's just standing. Like they just kind of utter out at time. But then once they get going, all of a sudden Josh Allen has a 55-yard rollout and he's hitting the dime to a guy. And then it's like, okay, now they kind of found their group. But they don't have guys that are gonna, even when Josh is, scrambling around looking for a guy, that are gonna make a play. I don't think they have a lot of playmakers. I think Josh Allen's ability to avoid sacks and make time, it helps these lesser receivers.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've seen it even when Diggs was on the team and he did have the number one guy. What made the offense move was not 3-step drop back, hit their number one receiver. It was Josh Allen extending plays. He is Mahomes obviously is great at it, okay, but he doesn't really have the speed or tackle breaking ability to do some of the plays that Josh Allen does. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of plays that Allen can't do that Mahomes does, just based off intuition and just creativeness. But when it comes to getting out of spots that other quarterbacks can't get out of, Josh Allen is the best there is at that. And so that game was definitely frustrating to watch because as Chiefs fans, we root against Josh Allen, no matter who they're playing.
Mhm.
He was playing Denver, the Donkeys, and I was still rooting against him, which is
Oh yeah,
crazy.
of course, of
Yeah,
course.
and it wasn't even really for playoff implications. For me, it was because I hate Josh Allen more than I hate the Broncos at this point. That is seriously the point I'm at because of how good he is. So, yeah, it was not a fun game to watch.
No, at this time you have to. Those on the Chiefs fans are like, no, you can't root for the Broncos. It's like, is this mic working? Chiefs fans, would you rather play Bo Champman Nix, or would you rather play Joshua Allen? I would rather much play Joshua Patrick Allen, or much not want to play Joshua Patrick Allen and have to play Beauchamp Nickman or whatever his last middle name is. Because, yeah, I was 100% being the biggest Broncos fan. I was like, come on, Bo. But again, obviously, it's just a rookie quarterback. It's tough to go into Buffalo and play like that. But they are going to be at Buffalo again, as that wild card matchup is dead, and they got a divisional matchup coming up versus the Baltimore Ravens. I think this is going to be a good one. I think it'll be better than the first game. But also, the Ravens, they're the way their style is, I don't think it necessarily is the best matchup for Buffalo because they're a team that they want to run the ball. Lamar Jackson's another guy who can make things. And you look at his numbers, first team All Pro. He may be the MVP of the league. I know they're calling it the MVP game, but let's not forget last time they played, 30 was it 35-10, 31-10, something like that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even close. How are you feeling about this matchup? Because we're going to get into the Chiefs Texans, obviously, and what the Texans did versus the Chargers game, but this is potentially an AFC title matchup game. Whoever wins this goes up against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think I think the Ravens win. Okay, but this is assuming that Lamar's really past his old self of just crumbling in the playoffs. This is assuming that.
Right.
Because I mean, this is the best Lamar we've ever seen. He still ran for 900 yards. He passed for over 4,000 and led the league in pretty much every advanced metric. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he's gotten past that wall. But if he hasn't, they're not going to win. If Lamar doesn't play like
Right.
the MVP, they can't beat Buffalo because Josh Allen is going to put up 30. It doesn't matter who they're playing. Josh Allen's going to put up 30 points. And so, but Baltimore's defense is a lot stronger than they were early in the season. They're much improved than they were back when they blew Buffalo out. But when you have Josh Allen on the other side, it's still it's just hard to bet against them. But I will take the Ravens by a slim margin.
I will too. I do think the Ravens beat them because, like you said, earlier in the season, the Ravens defense was bottom half in the league. I mean, they were not good. And to beat the Buffalo Bills 35-10 when their defense, I mean, 10 points out of I mean, you score a touchdown and a field goal. That's it. That's all they got. And now their defense is looking a little bit better. I know the biggest thing for me is why I think it'll be a little bit closer. Um, is because they're at home. But I don't know if the Ravens are even favored in this game, and then maybe the
I
Bills because
think
at home
I think it's Ravens -1 at this time, but it
-1.
opened Bills -1.
Okay,
So the
yeah.
public's on
So
Baltimore.
yeah, again, I would too because just the way they're playing, you have Derrick Henry, and again, Buffalo's defense isn't the best how it's been in years prior either. It hasn't. I mean, there was times where again, towards the end of the game, when all of a sudden the Broncos had to go hurry up and they just want to sling it around, these other guys were getting wide open. So again, if Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and Bateman, some of these guys can get open, it could be a long day for Buffalo. I mean, obviously, Josh Allen, he just needs to find somebody this playoffs. Someone for Buffalo has to step up. They need to find the number one through the playoffs because he's not like, and again, the Chiefs last year, for a majority part of the season, they didn't have a number one. All of a sudden, last couple of weeks, Rashid Rice stepped up. He was the one. And then look what Kelsey did in the playoffs and
He's
boom.
doing it again, by the
Obviously.
way.
And I think he will. I do think
Yeah.
he will. We're definitely going to get to that. So that's what I think the biggest thing is for the Bills is can he find a guy that can step up in big moments in this game? Because again, when you're up 30 or, you're up majority of the game. I know they started out 10-0 or 7-0 in that game. But when you're up for 90% of the game, you're not really relying on one guy to get open. You can kind of run the ball. James Cook, who I think is a big X factor because he had 100 plus. Before he had 115 yards.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, he's really
6.1
good.
yards carry.
If there's a
Yes.
team that can limit him, it is Baltimore, though. I mean, their run defense is, I'm pretty sure it's best in the league. It might, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the best in the league. They have a decent linebacking core. They still have Roquan Smith. Kyle Hamilton's a great safety. So James Cook has been killing it this year, dominating basically every team he goes against along with Allen. But I feel like
Mm-hmm.
the Ravens are a really good matchup in that sense. I mean, a really bad matchup in that sense because they don't allow running backs to just torch them like that. And he is pretty much half of their offense.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then that's the biggest thing. If he's not, if he doesn't start to get going in this game, then you're going to really rely on either Keon Coleman or even Josh Allen to make plays. And again, years prior, I think the problem was when Stephon Diggs wasn't making plays, Josh Allen felt like he had to. And that's when, he started to do Josh Allen things because, again, this season he hasn't had the turnovers. But season prior, um, he was getting the turnovers, fumbling the ball, interceptions. So he has to play another clean game. Another clean game. He can't have turnovers like that because Lamar and the Ravens are going to capitalize him, especially with a guy like Derrick Henry, the way he's been playing. They're just a really physical team also. So I'm going to take the Ravens also in that one. Then we have the Chargers and Houston game. I mean, is there much to say in that game? The main thing I want to ask you coming out of that game is Justin Herbert overrated?
That's a really tough question
I mean, he
because
gets talked about like a top 5 quarterback, top
there
4 quarterback a
there
lot.
are people that judge quarterbacks simply off of what they see with their eyes and the talent that they know they have. They know that he has a crazy arm. They know that he's mobile. They know that he's actually pretty accurate as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they put him in the top 5. Okay. And I am sort of a part of that group, but I have guys like I have Stroud over him. Okay, Stroud's not
Really?
he doesn't have much resources either. Neither of them have great supporting cast at this point. And Stroud didn't
Well,
choke.
Stroud lost his supporting cast. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but he's played most of the season without Diggs, a lot of the season
Mm-hmm.
without Dell, the entire season with the bad O-line. And I mean, he's in the
Right.
divisional round. There's guys like Matt Stafford, guys like
Jared
Jared
Goff. I mean,
Goff. Yeah.
so that's the
He's
thing. I
he's
mean,
he's in there. He's in there with
but
those
you name the
guys.
top 4. The top 4 is easy. Who are you putting in that 5th spot?
I I'd say Stroud. I saw enough from Stroud his rookie year. I would honestly, bro, we see Jared Goff with the best O-line, the
Yeah,
most
yeah, yeah. I'm not
dynamic
putting
running
Jared
back.
Goff there. I'm
No,
not
yeah.
putting Jared Goff
Who
there.
who who would you do? Maybe I'm forgetting someone.
Not Baker. I mean, Baker had a crazy year, but not
Baker's good,
Baker.
but he's pretty turnover prone. I I honestly would put
That's the thing. It's tough. You may put Herbert at 5, but it's like
I'm taking Stroud over
he's not.
Herbert, bro. Listen, Herbert has the only time he showed up in a big moment was that second
Jaden
half against the
Daniels,
Raiders. I mean,
not yet. Now you
he's
can't do it
dynamic
after
and
the rookie
extremely
year.
accurate. We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
He
And
is.
he's not
If he
has
plays like this
Terry.
to 8 games last year, then yes.
Yeah. He has Terry and like a below average O line and the rest of his receiving core is below average. So he's not dealing with
Yeah,
much
I
either. And
don't know anybody
his
else.
offense is really good. They're a top probably 7 offense. So it could be Daniels, but I'm gonna put Stroud there. What we saw last year from Stroud was really it's like what we saw in Herbert's second year. He was
Mhm.
really, really, really good. And I know that he hasn't been as good since then, but he's also the entire team around him, especially his O-line, is crumbling. So I go Stroud.
Yeah, not a great day for Stroud. 4 interceptions. One of them was really not his fault, but just not a second. I mean, both playoff games he's played has not been great versus the Jags, and versus the Houston Texans.
Yeah,
So he
pretty
doesn't
much the
do. He
worst
doesn't.
playoff resume you could possibly have.
Right. You
Yeah.
do not. I mean, up 30, and then you lose, and then you completely just come out the first 2 possessions look good, and then after that you look absolutely abysmal. So they're not moving on. The Texans are moving on. Another matchup with the Houston Texans. Um, This is our second playoff matchup versus, or no, this is our third playoff matchup versus the Houston Texans. We were undefeated in 2015, 2020 or 2019, and then in today we'll play them for the third time. Are you expecting more of what happened when we played them week 16? Or what is kind of your feeling, your confidence level going into this game right now with
I mean,
26 days of rest?
I am extremely confident, yo. Seriously, I mean, we are getting Jalen Watson back. Okay. That is incredibly huge because that basically remember the first 8 games of the season when we were undefeated and everyone was just talking about our defense. And then all of a sudden, our offense had to start winning us some games because our defense wasn't performing. If Jalen Watson is as good as he
Secondary
was
wasn't performing.
yeah, yeah, mainly secondary and pass rush.
Secondary.
If Jalen Watson is, he's probably not going to be as good because he fractured his ankle, but if he has the discipline and understanding that Nazeeh Johnson lacks, that he doesn't commit the penalties that Joshua Williams does commit. I mean, look, our pass rush looks better now than it has all season. Our
Yeah.
entire defense is healthy now. Our Trent McDuffie's been playing out of his mind the last 5 weeks.
All pro.
And they only have Nico Collins. If we saw what they did the first matchup against us, Nico Collins had a few good catches downfield, but mostly it was just bad screen passes for -1 yards. And that's about it, other than the Tank Dell touchdown, who we know is not here.
Yeah, I am. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I just am expressing my confidence right now. That's the reason I'm going to. I wouldn't go to a game if it was like, oh, I don't want to spend $150 and be heartbroken. That's not what I want to do. I want to spend $150, have a good time. That's why I'm going. I'm like, this is gonna be a great day. So
Great. And I don't know how many playoff games you've been to. Is it just? Well, you went
this
last
is
year.
my third. This is my third. I went to
Third.
Pittsburgh
So
wild
it
card
seems
game.
wild card game. Okay, so you're undefeated.
I'm undefeated.
So Zach, you're undefeated right now. I'm undefeated at Chiefs away games. I've not been to Arrowhead yet. Out of all my Chiefs years, it is sad I've not been to Arrowhead. I am going to make a trip out there next year, and a couple other away games. But I'm confident. I'm Zachary. Zachary,
I
is this
know.
mic on?
Jaden Reed.
I'm blowout confident. I'm the Chiefs have just there. I mean, the rest of the guys are about 20, what is it, 21 days rested. Chris Jones is 26 days rested. Christopher Jones, who has to get
Hey,
double teamed, sometimes triple teamed, and sometimes that don't even work. And he's well rested. I mean, he's going to have his nice mountain water, glass can of mountain water on the sideline, drinking the special water, ready to go.
yep. And you know,
Nick
defensive
Bolt,
linemen don't have rust. Chris Jones doesn't have rust. Maybe
no.
receivers and quarterbacks might have a little rust. O
They're too
linemen might
juiced
have
up.
rust. D linemen, they just there's
Boom.
no rust
You're
there.
just you're exactly because he's got to be a maniac. You
Yeah.
literally your number one job is just run at the quarterback and get him. Especially Chris Jones. His is A to B most of the time. Move out of the way. Yep, exactly. Be a bear. Be a bear. So George Karlaftis looked a lot better the last couple of games. I was like, man, is this guy ever going to be? He looked a lot better. I think he had 2 or 3 sacks in that last 5-6 week span. Looked a lot better. So the secondary looked a lot better. I know, again, some of the teams we were playing didn't have the best receivers, but again, a guy like George Pickens who can go up and get the ball looked booty. So again, I'm very confident in this game. And the way the Chiefs are talking, you saw Kelsey. I don't know if you saw Kelsey on the Pat McAfee show.
Yeah, I saw that.
Saying, I feel like I'm 22. You know, he was kind of reference to Taylor Swift song there. But he's got the playoff beard. We know, when he grows out the beard. He cut the hair. And I'm telling you, I've said this for years. When he has the long hair, he never plays as well. But when he's got the buzz cut, he's always balling. He's got the nice little buzz cut, a little bit of a fade in there. He's going to be balling. I think he's ready. He's going to hit the fountain of youth. We saw him the last couple of weeks playing better, getting open, being that security blanket for Mahomes. Hollywood Brown. I mean, oh God. I mean, God. We know God's real.
I forgot we got that guy.
Well, let me preach real quick. Let me go to a little
All
sermon real
right.
quick. I know God is real quick because He said, you know what? I can't let Rasheed Rice go out there right now with D Hobb and Hollywood Brown. I have to be a good God and give these other guys who pray to me hope. So that's how I know He is a real God because
Mm.
God forbid we have Rasheed Rice out there right
Ooh.
now with these other guys. I mean, I
Rasheed
know
instead
we
of
may
Juju. Sorry,
again, but
I
I'm
interrupted the
just saying
sermon. Sorry.
maybe no. That is the sermon because maybe I mean Juju had a good game this year, so God bless him. Hallelujah. But God, no, I mean God is a good God because He's blessed us with Patrick Mahomes, but He gives teams a glimmer of hope because He said, number 4, I'm sorry you're gonna have to rest right now, and then next year you can play like how you were playing those first 4 weeks. But that is it for today's sermon. But I am very confident, as you can tell. I do. I really don't see this being a game kind of out early in the year. It's like, okay, we maybe think it's going to be a 10 or 14 point win. And we're like in the back of our minds, we're like, it's probably going to be a 3 point win. I don't. I think the Chiefs are because sometimes with a team that wins back to back, they kind of sneak into the playoffs. They're 11-5, or they're the third or fourth seed. They still win their division, but they don't have that focus. This Chiefs team is focused. They're like, no, we want to three. Like they don't even avoid it. How like other teams kind of like, oh, we don't want to say anything. No, like they're like, no, we're like our goal is to three. Our goal is to win a
Yep.
third straight title and do something that no one else has done.
I love their confidence. It's actually because it's not boastful at all.
No, no, it's not cocky.
I've not once heard a Chiefs player sound cocky, which is crazy because when you get this type of success, stuff gets to your head. They are just so focused. I know the last 2 weeks of practice have just been pure lockage. They are so
Yeah.
incredibly locked in right now. Mahomes just had a baby. When
Mm-hmm.
he has a baby, he goes crazy. He balls out.
And,
We're in for a
and that
ride.
that's the funny thing is usually like it was like some statistic. I think it was when he had his first child. That was what 22 now, 2022 had to be.
Nah,
I think
wait.
2020
Oh, maybe the girl. Yeah.
maybe. I think it was his first. I think it was when he won the Super Bowl versus the Eagles. Um,
Oh,
People were like, "Oh, when you have a kid, like it was like statistics when like the quarterbacks have kids and like the year they have, like oh, they don't have like a great year, they lose in the playoffs because obviously that focus goes over there. But every time he has a kid, he had one last year, right? Yeah,
yeah.
I think he did. Yeah, so he had one
Brown
22.
James.
Yeah, so yeah, he had one last year. So he may literally have every time he has a kid, he wins a Super Bowl. So again, maybe it's good luck. Maybe Brittany's good luck, but we're not even talking about the other element of this team. We talked about, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones. I even said Nick Bolton, Watson. What about the Walrus? What about the guy that is reading the menu? People say sometimes he's ordering a cheeseburger because he's going to get his cheeseburger at the end of this year, even if I have to give it
Definitely.
to him. We're talking about Andy Reid has how many weeks now? Because the last week, the game plan is going to be whatever, but has a whole week and a half to get the main guys, the starters, the big boys, the varsity ready. That is something we got to talk about as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it when I was driving today. I was like, okay, what are the benefits of a bye? So obviously there's the rest, the body being able to recover itself. And then I thought, what does a bye week look like for Andy Reid? Has he been thinking about Texans, Steelers, or Chargers since we played the Steelers? Or was he really taking this time and looking at the Broncos first, like our week 18 match, and then he just started last week? That's my question because if he has had the last 3 weeks and he's been spending a lot of time on like the Chargers and the Texans, they're cooked. They are so cooked.
Yeah,
They no, they are.
but the benefit too is with our matchups is like sometimes on a rare occasion there's a time you don't play a team from the AFC. Like say you just again you didn't play that division, you only played one team from that division or whatever, so you didn't play the rest of that division. The rest of the teams that we could play, we all played against. The Bills we lost to. The Ravens was a close thing, so you can still see the mistakes you made. That was way back in week 1. And then the Texans you just played. So you're giving Andy not only time to implement stuff, but to go back and watch film on a team you played this season. That's huge.
Yeah. Yep. And the Texans don't appear to me to be a team that changes too much up. I know Bobby Slowick gets a lot of flack from their fan base for being like a very just like vanilla offensive coordinator. Like
Mhm.
route combinations are simple, not a lot of like trickery or anything special. And so especially for Spags, if they gave us our best shot a few weeks ago, we weren't fully healthy at the time. If they gave us our best shot and we only allowed how many points? It was like 19, but there's garbage time and that crazy Tank Dell play, and they had him for most of the game. I expect our defense to literally shut their offense down. They might score 10 points. They might score 10 points.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, we'll get our game predictions here in a minute as we start to wrap up. But what the Chiefs again able are to do when what they, if you look at their first games, the last couple years, where's the first game, their divisional game, besides the 13 seconds, I can recall that was close. Then people may say, "Hey, Jane, what about the last time they played the Texans in the playoffs?" Oh, yeah, it was a
Blew them out.
blowout, but then it was a blowout again with the Chiefs. The Texans were blowing us out, and then the Chiefs blew them out and scored. What was it? Almost 50?
51. 51 in three
51 points.
quarters. That's 17
51
points a
points.
quarter.
God, man. God, I forgot. I thought it was 41. 51 point. Maybe the Chiefs could score 51 again. I don't think that so. They'll do that. But who is, besides Kelsey, besides Mahomes, besides Chris Jones, who is your X factor for this game? You know how Dante Hall used to throw up that X? Shout out Dante
Mhm.
Hall. I met him at the Plaza, Kansas City, and he threw up the X. It was the coolest thing ever. But who is your X factor going into this game?
That's a great question, man. Okay. One of our corners is going to have to spend a lot of time on Nico Collins. Okay. Jalen Watson
Mm-hmm.
just returned from the IR. Okay. He's
Mm-hmm.
probably not going to be ready to take on a full load of snaps because he hasn't played a game in a few months. Trent McDuffie likes to be in the slot, but he was guarding guys like Nico Collins on the outside because we didn't have Jalen Watson. And so I don't really have an X factor, one particular player, but it is whoever is guarding the Texans' literal only offensive threat. They don't have any. Joe Mixon is not really a threat. He's a huge volume guy. He had a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards, but he averages like 3.3 yards per carry, 3.5 yards per carry. He's not really a threat that in a playoff game like that. Nico Collins is their only threat. It's going to be either Trent McDuffie or Jalen Watson. Whoever's on him more. That's my X factor.
Yeah, again, I want to go the linebackers because I think you're going to see a lot of Joe Mixon, and they're going to hope that a lot of Joe Mixon happens. Yeah, I really do want to go like Tranquil or something like that, but I'm going to go Noah Gray. I'm going to go Noah
Hmm.
Gray. I think he gets in the end zone this game. I mean, people, kind of this year. I mean, this is his what, fourth, fifth year now, so maybe sixth year. But people
I
are
think
talking about
fourth.
like, okay, fourth year. Yeah, we got
Yeah.
him in 20,
Yeah.
20, 21, 22. So yeah, fifth year, fifth season, I should say. So yeah, he's 26, 27 years old. But people are talking about maybe if Kelsey doesn't come back next year, he's kind of the Kelsey replacement. I've liked a lot of what he's done this season. I think he is a guy because honestly, to me, if this is a blowout game, you kind of want that. So we don't have to play a lot of Watson. You don't have basically you want to be going to the fourth quarter where you're not seeing a lot of your key playmakers out there. So you can again have more rest, more just health. You're out there in the cold in Kansas City, and then you can go into that AFC Championship game with your guys. So of course we want to keep the Texans to 10 to 30 something like that. So you're kind of going into the fourth quarter like, okay, you know what? Here Pacheco, here Steele. Like this is what we're gonna do for the next 15 minutes. But Noah Gray's, I think, a guy because again, Kelsey in the playoffs, as much as people try to guard him, he still gets open. But I think they're really going to be honed in on Kelsey. And Noah Gray is my guy. My second choice would be the linebacking crew, just because I think you're going to see a lot of Mixon.
Joe
Sorry.
Mixon.
Yeah,
Bro, I don't know if the Texans are gonna have the luxury of giving us a bunch of mixing. I I don't really see
right.
the game script playing out like that because their offensive line isn't good. It isn't. They've
Mhm.
invested a lot into it, but there's been injuries and a lot of underperforming.
Even
If you want
versus
to
there was a
beat the
lot of
Chiefs,
injuries.
yeah, and injuries, yeah. If you want to beat the Chiefs in playoffs and you have a mediocre, below average run game, you might as well just like throw away all your run plays, bro. I swear, unless their defense does something magical and holds us to like 17 points, I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of Joe Mixon. And it is because of our linebackers that we're able to just completely put away run games like that. So,
Yeah, I mean, again, even the top backs, Joe Milton, I think, he is a up there for being one of the top backs. But even Derrick Henry, the last three times he's played us, hasn't, I don't know if he's cracked 100 yards. If he did, I mean, his yards per carry were very low. I know last time we played him, he got up there, maybe 70 yards, something like that, but his yards per carry was down. Even this year, backs his yards per carry versus the Chiefs have not been productive. You may see a guy say, oh, he had 95 yards and a touchdown, but he was averaging 3.3 yards a carry. It's like, okay, yeah, you had to carry the ball how many times for him to get that type of production, or maybe broke one loose, and then the rest of the game kind of got shut down. So, I mean, Bijan Robinson shut down. A lot of these backs shut down this season versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So hopefully they can do that versus Mixon, and they can get this win. What is your scoring prediction for this game? I know we're kind of confident. How confident right here?
yeah, it's the playoffs. We turn it up. I got to remember that. But their defense is good. Their defense is really good. They have the pass rush. They have the corner. They have a good linebacker. He's Alshire, that Blake Cashman. I'm gonna say Chiefs
Cashman's on the
26.
Vikes.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
They
So
have
we're
some
good with
white.
we're good there.
They yeah, they have some white
So
guy.
we're good
Okay.
there. Hopefully, yeah, good thing he's with the Vikes.
Uh 26 26 ah 17. They're gonna get a garbage time touchdown. They're gonna have 10. It's gonna be 26-10, and they're gonna get a garbage time touchdown.
Yeah, I could see that. All right. Let me
What about
think.
you, bro?
Playoffs, Mahomes, Andy Reid, Arrowhead. Like even when we've won so much, it's still just rocking and rolling. Like we still hungry for one.
We're really put
33, 33-19.
33.
33-19.
So
33.
you think we're really that locked in? Our offense
33-19.
hasn't scored more than 30 all year. We're gonna do it against the top defense.
And I think that's exactly why I think we're going to do it because the headlines on Monday are going to be like, "Oh my God, this Chiefs offense is so like it's a big surprise." Zach, I'm literally telling you, this is what's going to happen. You're going to turn on, Get Up or Stephen A. Smith or astronomical game about the Kansas City, and they're going to act like this is like how did the Kansas City Chiefs, who won back-to-back Super Bowls, score 30? And it's going to be like, oh, they curb stomped the Texans. Oh my God, they look good. And then there's still going to be a guy who's like Bart Scott or freaking J Mac from Colin Cowherd who absolutely hates the Chiefs. You guys watch Colin
Oh
Cowherd,
yeah.
that
No,
man
he's the worst. That guy's the
absolutely
worst.
hates the Chiefs.
Who are you,
Apparently, we're,
bro?
but
Like, who is
apparently,
he?
I don't know. I don't know who he is. But
He's just on the
apparently,
side hating.
apparently today he said they get so lucky. I mean, we get lucky because we win the first seed and play who wins the game. So he's going to be on there like, uh, and you're still telling me they're going to be Baltimore. But again, functioning people are going to be like, this Chiefs team looks really good. But there's going to be a lot of people surprised. So I do think 33-19, like you said, I think they get, a touchdown. I think they hit a couple field goals. 33-19. 33-19. Patrick Mahomes is going to be yelling and screaming. We kind of haven't had that fiery
I'm
Mahomes.
here. I'm
Yeah,
here.
I'm here. So I think we see that Mahomes. But 33-19. Let us know, guys, what you think. This video, parts of this video will be up on TikTok. It will suck if TikTok does get taken down on the 19th. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully, with a new regime coming in, they kind of make a new deal with TikTok and some of the creators, or someone buys it out. However it may be, we hope we're able to stay on TikTok and bring you guys content. If not, this will be probably the last TPT TikTok video on there, which will suck. But we're still on Instagram, of course, guys, at TPT podcast. And then we may be more on Twitter with the TPT Twitter because, again, most of our content is on TikTok. But Zach, if this is maybe our last video on TikTok, of having TikTok on there, what do you got to say to some of our fans over on TikTok?
Hi TikTok. Bye TikTok. I'm gonna get a VPN. I'll still be on there.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I'll just try to switch it to like Canada or England or something.
Yeah.
Because knowing it makes me a little more upset knowing that England is just going to be scrolling through TikTok and we're not. I'm like,
Yeah,
you little
like
beans
why are
and
we
toast, and we can't let people who eat beans and toast and mushy bread and mushy peas win, not TikTok. Or the Canadians have TikTok. I mean, but I will be using them as a pin if I have to. So TikTok, if this is it, we will see you guys in another life. You're just like Vine. Hopefully you don't die. I
rest
will
in
miss
peace
you.
Vine. Rest in
Vine,
peace
legendary.
Musically. Rest in peace TikTok.
TikTok.
You know what I'm saying?
But we will see you guys next time on the TPT podcast. Hopefully Chiefs get it done. 33-19, and Zach, you had 26-17.
26-17.
26-17.
Lock in.
Yes, sir. Lock in, guys. Again, cherish these playoffs. Not every day do you get a team like this. So cherish every single playoff game. It's not just, again, okay, we're just guaranteed the AFC Championship game, even though it feels like it. But, guys, cherish these. Go Chiefs. And we will see you guys next time on the TBT podcast.